Hey guys, welcome back. Rob Overstreet here. We just wrapped up with the broker on property tour number 2. This deal is in pretty good condition. Built in 1972, it's a 192 unit apartment community. One thing we wanted to point out is that every time that we meet with the broker on one of these property tours, typically the leasing agent or the property manager is walking with us to open up some of the vacant units. We always like to see a few of the vacant units, get a feeling for the property itself. And of course, when the broker is with us, they always want to show us the best looking units, right? It's their job to sell us the deal, and so they want to show us the best of the best. One thing that we always ask for when we meet with the property manager and the broker is with us is, Mr. Property Manager, Mrs. Property Manager, please show us the worst looking apartment unit, maybe one that had just moved out recently. We want to see really what the worst looking units are, because again, it all boils down to really understanding what your budget is going into a real estate opportunity and understanding your numbers. So always ask if you're touring a deal, an apartment community like this one, you want to see what the worst unit is. So let's go check out the next one. All right, guys, moving right along. Just wrapped up tour number 3 on our Whirlwind tours, and this is property number 3. It was built in 1971. It's 130 apartment units. You can see it's in very good condition. Also, nice newer siding that's called hardy board siding. One knock on this deal, if you can find one, is the roofs are all flat style roofs. Typically not something that we're too excited about. It's not a deal breaker, but traditionally we look for properties that have pitched style roofs, just much fewer problems and maintenance issues that we find. But again, overall, very pleased with property number 3. Another thing I wanted to point out that's very cool about this this deal is that it's right next door to property number 2. And so that allows the next operator or investor and all of our investing partners to achieve some operational efficiencies. We can operate both of these properties out of one leasing office. We can share staff back and forth, and reduce our labor cost on both of these deals, because their proximity to one another allows us to take advantage of some operational efficiencies. But overall, great looking property, and just wrapped up with the broker. This is property number 3, and on to 4 we go. All right, guys, welcome to property number 4. Just wrapped up with the broker again, and toured a few units, usual drill. One thing to note on this particular property, first of all, the condition, like the last couple, is exceptionally well. The current owner has done a lot to maintain the property, and it's in very good condition. One thing to take note when we are looking at new properties to acquire is, like some of the other things I mentioned with the parking lot condition and some of the other items, is the roof and the windows. On this particular deal, the current ownership group has replaced all the windows with vinyl double pane windows. That's a major capital item that we won't have to worry about. There's no original windows on property, as well as the roofs. The roofs were replaced within the last 2 years. 100% of the properties on this, the buildings on this property were replaced, the roofs. So those are 2 big ticket items that we don't have to worry about should we get involved in this acquisition. But overall, we're very pleasantly surprised with property number 4, 80s construction, and overall very well maintained. So come along, we'll go check out the next one. Welcome back. We just wrapped up tour number 5. This property was built in 1964, and it's 155 units. And again, very well maintained property. Really like this deal for a few reasons. First of all, it's in a very good location. I would qualify this as a strong B-class location. There's A-class retail nearby, one of the largest malls actually in the state of Indiana, just up the street. Good home values, very strong, solid household income numbers. So it's a very good location. Typically, a building that's constructed in the 60s. That's a little bit of a knock on a property, but in this case, it's very well maintained. You can see behind me, nice brick. Roofs have largely been replaced. There's a couple roofs still to go, but overall, very good property, built in the 60s. And again, we're extra cautious in our underwriting, especially repairs and maintenance budgets and things on 60s vintage properties. But this one doesn't appear from a high level to have very many issues. Now, if we end up getting this deal under contract, then of course we'll do a much more thorough due diligence with contractors looking at plumbing and electrical and get a full inspection of the roofs, especially here on, again, 60s vintage. But overall, very pleasantly surprised with deal number 5. So come along, let's go check out the next one. All right, guys, we just finished up tour number 6, back in the car, going back for a drive-by. Just wanted to talk quickly about this particular deal. It sits off the main street where you would have a lot of high traffic and everything, and it's kind of backed in this corner here where it doesn't have a lot of visibility. On the main street, there is a sign, but the signage on this particular deal is really lacking. That could be an opportunity for us to promote the property. It's a small sign. It's easily missed just driving on the main street, and there's no phone number. Not to mention that this particular deal is run out of the office, the same office of a deal that we showed you a couple deals ago. I think it was property number 2 or 3, and so prospects have supposedly a difficult time finding out where the leasing center is, how they can rent a unit here. So as a result, the occupancy here is a little bit lower than the other deals that we looked at earlier today. So, marketing, the signage, the curb appeal is all part of, operating a real estate deal. And so if we were to get involved in this deal, one of the first things that we would do is beef up the sign. And probably add a leasing center. You can kind of see back there by the pool, there's a building that's being used for storage and some maintenance use. And we would likely convert that into its own standalone leasing center. That way we make it easier for prospects to find us. I mean, those are our customers, and how can we lease a unit if they can't find us? So new signage, convert this building into a leasing center, maybe add an amenity in there. But all in all, another pretty decent looking deal, great location, considered, maybe a little more workforce housing, working class neighborhood, but solid neighborhood, good tenant profile from what we could see. And like the others that we saw today, very little deferred maintenance. So that was deal 6. And that concludes our tours for today. And tomorrow we're going to look at the final deal, number 7, back in Indianapolis. So check in with us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one, deal 7, tomorrow.